Okay, you ready? I'll just do it down here.
No, do it up there. I have to see. It's just for the sound. It's for the being able.
No, this is all staying in.
Damn it! I'm not ready, you son of a bitch. Okay.
This is all staying in.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome, welcome. We are Specular Board Games, and we are in it to win it. And that's a pretty good one. That tagline comes to us from the wonderful Sam Webster.
Sam
Thank
Wise.
you, Sam. Sam Wise. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
You know, it's really good, but I think it's not quite the perfect tagline we're looking for, so...
Yeah, in it to win it, it's something you say every time we play a game, and you always win. So it kind of just makes me...
It's very alienating, I know.
Just
and
rub
it's
it
just
in.
for me. So, yeah, let's keep looking. Leave a funny tagline for us in the comments so we can put it in our next video. Maybe we'll find one eventually.
Hopefully.
Welcome to our second review video. I'm Ryan. Got my co-host Max with me, and we got Keegan Cole here today.
What's up, everybody?
Today we are going to be reviewing On the Underground. And Max is actually going to take away and let us know what it's about.
Right. The game we're reviewing is...
Hand me the box so everyone can see.
You want the
just
box?
the rule books. That's cool too. And Keegan will hold that. This is...
On the Underground by Sebastian Bleasdale. He is the designer. The art is by Victor Cassette, C-S-E-T-E.
Max not being able to pronounce stuff is going to be part of this episode, so don't worry.
And it's published by Luddy Creations. Luddite.
I think it's Ludi.
Ludi
Yeah.
Creations.
Yes.
It's a 2 to 5 player game where you will be laying track on the underground. On your turn, you are going to... well, actually, first I should say that this originally was a game from 2006 called On the Underground, and this is sort of a second edition of sorts. It's pretty much a new game, different map. It plays differently, it works differently. So, yeah, you are going to be laying track on either. Sounds bad. Sorry, you can restart if you want.
Okay.
Laying track just sounds bad.
Damn it, now I'm going to just...
So, on your turn, you are going to either be laying down rail tracks or taking branch tokens, and you can spend 2 of these puppies to branch off of your line and go a separate direction. After you take 4 actions, you are then going to argue with everybody where the passenger is going to go.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And the passenger will always go to a express station first, which we call yellow stations in this household. And then they will go to a standard station, which are just gray stations. They're just... Yellow stations are gray stations. And then you're going to calculate the points, and you will score a point. Well, everyone will score a point for each rail that the passenger used that belongs to them. And you can also get points, depending on which map you're on, you can get points for connecting to different stations and areas on the map. And also if you make a big loop, you can get points for that. And then you flip over some new cards, put down some new buildings. There's always going to be 4 cards showing. And you keep doing that till the deck runs out, and then game's over. You calculate points, and then usually Ryan wins.
Well, I mean, it's fair.
Is it?
It's not...
I mean, it's not fair for you guys, it's fair for me. I really like it.
Oh.
But thank you, Max. That was a really good explanation of the video. If you want to know more, obviously, take a look at the rule books. There's a little bit more minutia on it, but it's a pretty simple mechanics-wise game, but there's definitely a bit more strategy that you're going to be employing during this. But before we even get into some of the mechanics and talk about that, as usual, we're going to probably start with the artwork and what we like about it. This game, unlike Iwari, is probably a little bit more simple, but not simple in a way that is not good. I mean, the artwork on this is really great, fantastic. If we look at just the cover here, it's pretty simple, and it has the really cool city outline, cityscapes of Berlin and London with this really cool, like, paint splatter gradient.
The watercolor.
Yeah, that is really cool. It's really well done.
I think it's really cool too. Like, I just noticed that the watercolor in the box kind of carries over to the map too, where all the locations are like watercolor ink splats.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that it just ties everything together.
Yeah, even the tokens.
Yeah, the tokens too.
I'm gonna put this between us for now. Yeah, and this copy here that we have with us, as usual, is a deluxe copy. So some of the pieces here that we're showing are a bit more deluxe, but the only really deluxe pieces are the different station markers. Are these really nice, just custom wooden shapes of Big Ben and Keegan. Can you tell us what that one is? I probably
Just because
you're the German.
I know. Just
Oh, wait, I'm German too. I should know.
I was born in Germany doesn't mean I know all the buildings
It's the
in
Sears
Berlin.
Tower.
The Berlin Sears Tower.
The Berlin Sears Tower. And then the other deluxe pieces is the passengers. They're all custom shaped people. We got a pregnant person, we got an old person, just a man and a woman, someone in a wheelchair, which is really cool.
King.
You're not going to really see that, but we'll get a
inclusive.
close up. That's not how that works.
It's really nice
fun,
that they're just like really inclusive about it. It's
Yeah,
really
that's
cool.
that's really nice. And it's just a lot of fun picking a new one each time. Obviously not overboard with the deluxe pieces some can get. Though I wish if you're gonna go out and do a deluxe, it could have been like if the train tracks were cool, kind of like what's the other
Like one of the like Age of Steam or like Ride the Rails.
Yeah, Ride the Rails, something that has like a cool little, that the train wood shape.
I mean, they probably.
I mean, it would be a lot of them, but
yeah, probably just like
Kinda
it cut down on cost though too for sure.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
this for how nice this game is, the
it
price
is very
didn't
costly.
seem insane.
Yeah, that was it wasn't a negative or a positive for me when I was looking at it, but I definitely thought that the components were good. They weren't like out of this world. I mean, like these are cool, but like they're serviceable. They're not like they're not gonna they're all right, but like they're not like super deluxeified.
Yeah.
But that being said, like even just like your scoring tokens, the way they have it with your colored train tracks on them and stuff
nice.
they definitely streamline things and the art is so beautiful. It doesn't really matter that this is your train. Like it's not the shape of a train. It's not it's nice.
And kind of what you were saying with the artwork from the box spilling over into the game, they also have these really cool, like almost watercolor images of some of the different, what would you call that, monuments or buildings, like iconic places in Berlin or London that are on the board. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That has got this like it's a photo, but they make it a kind of like this artistic style that is really nice and honestly doesn't really like it's faded enough on the board that it doesn't actually distract you from actually seeing where the different lines are.
Yeah, everything's really clear.
Yeah, which they also did a good job obviously with the different tracks on seeing how many can actually go on that line, because some of the tracks you can only say one track will be able to go between two stations. There's some places that have 3. There's even on the London side has a 4, and they're all very easy to see how many are there.
There's a really good blend of form and function in this one. It's not like one outdoes the other. It's just very well balanced and like it looks nice and it's very clear to read.
Yeah,
which is great.
Any other thoughts, guys, on the art? we should move on to mechanics.
Let's go to mechanics. It's the cool part.
All right.
Mechanics.
Our resident mechanic. Obviously, Max gave us a little bit of a brief overview of the mechanics, so we're not going to go too much more into detail, but it's, like we said, it's pretty simple, where we're just simply laying down tracks. You have four moves. You can place all tracks. You can grab the branch tokens to help kind of spread your track out to maybe help capture some additional locations. So as far as like people trying to teach it and understand it, is very simple, which is really nice. You can easily bring in new players. I would definitely say this game is a good game to bring to new players.
Oh yeah, and it goes 2 to 5, and it scales like you use less. Like in a 3-player game, you get 3 different tracks you can use, but in a 2-player game, you get
4.
You get 4, and then in a higher player game, I think you get less train tracks, so it doesn't become too cluttered on the board.
I think the only thing with the mechanic, as Max pointed out in the rules, is probably the most confusing part is trying to figure out exactly where the passenger is going to go. It's really cool that like where the passenger is going to go is kind of dictating what you're going to be doing on your turn. Like, how are you going to block where it's going to go, or how is it to your benefit to look like what location they're going to? So I could see that being the only hard thing for new players. Having someone that's played the game before and bring this to new players is helpful, because the guy who's experienced it, or person who's experienced the game before, they can easily point out like they're going to go here because here's the path. Whereas a new player, I could see them getting overwhelmed, being like, I have to figure this out every turn. Especially when you get more lines on the board, it can easily get pretty chaotic.
Well, but that was one of the things that I wrote as a positive, oddly. Like, normally I wouldn't like, okay, where's the, like, but it almost becomes like a puzzle, almost like a cooperative puzzle. But
where we all like are discussing and arguing.
And you trash talk, and it's like, well, if I put this here, then you're not going to get points, and if I put this here, then neither of you guys are going to get points, and I'm going to get 4 points, and then next turn something comes out, and then Ryan scores 7 points, and then you want to hit him. But but it definitely becomes like a cooperative puzzle, but at the same time it's competitive, and I normally wouldn't necessarily go for that, but in this game it turned into a positive. It's just, I don't know if it's just the way we play it, but it definitely becomes this trash talky sort of like all trying to figure out the best route, and then trying to manipulate that person into screwing over everybody, but kind of benefiting you if you can. Like, well, I have the least amount of points right now, so you should not take your
track.
It's not like,
it's not really mean. Like,
it's
a little bit mean.
Yeah, it's not like a take that game, but it feels very take that. Which, at least for me, I like take that games, and like I love splatter games, and all those are really like hyper like, I'm just gonna totally wreck your turn style games, and that is in here a bit in a good way.
But with all the different locations and stuff, and there are always ways to kind of get points. There's always, even like on a turn, if like the passenger isn't anywhere near any of your trains, where you go, okay, well then this is a turn where I'm gonna go and try and just branch out somewhere else, or take over like a different area of the map that nobody else has, or get some branch tokens so I can plan something later on in the game, or because these are also the tiebreaker. The person with the most branch tokens, so they can be useful.
It just feels like, with like what Max is saying, with the fact that you're probably going to get a point every turn, even outside of your turn, like helps mitigate the take that element to it, where it's not, it doesn't just feel like it's me, because you're always gaining something.
You don't feel stuck.
You don't feel stuck ever.
And you can kind of like start to try to block each other and be mean, but there's enough like multi-branch paths that you can kind of find your, like, if someone blocks a certain way you're going, there is probably another direction that you can go to get to a certain maybe marker that you're trying to get, or just a different path to score points. There's always it's not fully mitigated.
Right.
Like, someone can't just like completely shut you down fully, because you always have the chance of going a different direction, because there's multiple tracks that can be on one path, or you can just branch your track off to a different direction. So it's not completely mean, but it also does have it that it definitely makes it fun.
For sure. This game give you guys vibes of any other games? Because there's a couple that it made me think of, like the first time, like when we were playing it.
I mean, obviously, like the one that I was trying to think of. What was it?
Ticket to Ride.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, was it? I was joking.
Yes, it was Ticket to Ride. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah. Some Ticket to Ride. The way that they have the multiple branch things, and you're trying to like connect those different paths. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much like that.
It made me think of Ride the Rails a lot because of mainly the passenger delivery part of it. And like Ride the Rails, you can also, you're building lines and you're wanting to take a passenger. You have to take a passenger at the end of every turn to a city.
Yeah.
And you could just totally ruin yourself, and you have to move a passenger, and yet you don't have any passengers near your line, so you have to move it on someone else's line. And that feels really brutal and mean to yourself because you mess yourself up. But it's still a gratification in that game too because you're getting points outside of your turn as well. And it makes me think a little bit of Bus from Splotter.
Okay.
Because mainly because at least on this map when you have these different like tokens you can pick up, in Bus there's different tokens you can play onto the board that are locations that you want the passengers to go to, so you can kind of mitigate where they're going to go because you're picking the locations.
Okay.
But it's also like this where you have to build your line, you have to connect off the end of your line. And the person that's on the bus might take someone else's line, or like the way you have it set up, you totally ruined yourself, or someone came in and totally ruined you. Like, Bus is the more mean version of this, I feel like.
Yeah, this is like the like entry bus.
Yeah, for sure.
And it feels different enough from Ticket to Ride.
It feels different from all the games we mentioned. They all have like a same like vein, same feel in a way. Yeah,
they're all
like the same
trains.
concept.
Trains. Yeah.
Is the underground rail a train? Is it a
Subway?
Subway.
Is it a railroad?
No, it's like the L.
Okay.
Chicago. Which they could make a Chicago map.
Yeah,
That'd be really
That'd
cool.
be cool. Yeah.
Make a Chicago map.
Hint, 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 hint.
Use the
Sebastian.
L. The CTA. You can use the buses
Yeah, come
too.
on.
But then we wouldn't be able to argue. We would know where everything was if
Yeah.
it was a Chicago
we literally
map.
make
Uptown,
Chicago.
Wilson stop.
Are you gonna say that you can have like a second mini game in there and like you build like the train lines and there's also like a bus line you have to build too? It could be two separate things.
Geez. No, I was gonna say because there's the underground for the L portion, and then there's the upper portion.
Oh, you do like you can do overpass.
There's over like one's above ground, one's underground.
That'd be crazy.
I don't know how to do that.
I drive.
Okay. Well.
You rollerblade.
This elitist over here.
Yeah, well,
I take public transportation.
the starting
it's
player-
great in Chicago.
the starting player is the last person who took the train
So
or the
Max
line. So
never first.
yeah,
But in our household, green always goes last. So
We all play green, so whoever picks green goes last automatically.
okay. So I think the main overarching kind of mechanisms between this game is really good. It works really well. I think the only big criticism that I have is the way that these stations are going to come out is very random. You're just going to have a face down deck, and you will just flip them over based on how many passengers have gone to, how many stations the passenger has gone to. And if say that there is all gray stations on the map, the passenger's only going to one of them. So that means only one new station is going to come out, and it could very likely be that it's another gray station.
Yep.
So you kind of get screwed in that way that you're not going to be able to get the chance to go to a yellow and a gray, and you just sort of lose out on some of those extra points. And it's kind of that randomness that I have a little bit of problem with that in this game. It makes it a little bit harder to plan what you're gonna do, or just you kind of get screwed because in a previous game that I played with Max and Aiden, I think I had like 5 turns in a row that only all gray cards came out, and it just felt like I don't even have a chance to get these extra points, where everyone else kind of, I mean, in that particular game, several of us got several turns of just gray, but
that was the
that
worst
feeling-
game where that ever happened. Like,
Yeah.
it only happened last game we played. It only happened once to me. Like there was only, or
I
did it
think
happen
it
to you
had a
once
couple
too?
times.
The
Yeah.
first 2 rounds, I think it happened to both of you, and I got lucky and got a gold both of my first 2 turns.
So it kind of like someone could start just like running away almost if they get that lucky.
Well, I will say in the game where it happened to you 5 times, you still won. So I almost wonder, like, it does, that is the one, I guess, feel bad, like if it does feel lame, but the thing is, and I don't know, we'd have to, I guess, but, like, generally speaking, the passenger's going to give points to a couple people. Like, you're trying to make the passenger only give you points. But a lot of times it will, like last game we played, Keegan had 2 lines right next to each other, and Keegan just kept getting 2 points over and over, even on our turns.
Yeah.
And so we really had to try and build around that and stop that from happening, because in the beginning of the game he was running away. But so I do feel like even if you do pull 2 all gray lines or all yellow lines, and the passenger's only moving once, that is an opportunity then for you to try and do something else on the board. It might be that you're going to score less, but it does force you into a way you might not want to go.
Exactly.
And it does feel bad, but I don't know that it ends up really hurting you points wise. I don't know. I mean,
Maybe we haven't played enough, but probably not, just because maybe overall throughout the whole game, it kind of ends up balancing it out. It's just almost like on your turn, if you get that multiple times in a row, it just kind of like feels bad.
I think it is more punishing at the beginning of the game when there's less lines out.
Yes.
If it happens at the end of the game, there's so much happening on the board. Odds are that at least one of your lines is going to get a point.
That's true.
If you only have one thing going out. But I was also thinking too, it would be interesting if maybe even we try it at some point. If there's like not a draft, but if you could pick a card that you want to come out, like like the cards are separated out. Like there's like the yellow deck and the gray deck, and you can pick like you can flip what, like you see your stack of cards and there's already yellow one out, but you're like, man, this yellow one's gonna give Max like 3 points. Yeah. And maybe when I draw my new card, I want to draw off the top of the yellow deck, so then maybe there's a new yellow building out that's closer to me that I could go to. So that way at least everyone can pick on their turn, like, yes, everyone's gonna get a gold and a gray, or I don't know, or you could like spend like one of those tokens, and if you spend a token, then you can force that a gold one comes out. Like there could be a way that you could house rule it to mitigate that.
That could be interesting and something we should try.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It just might be an option.
did you guys have any other? I have a.
You got yourself a notes.
Oh,
I have a list.
prepared.
You got yourself a list. Okay. This is supposed to be improv, but okay.
Reading time
Well,
with Max.
I just wanted to be able to remember.
This is our segment. Max reads.
Also, that's a tall piece of paper.
That is a big.
This is a child's paper to learn to write on.
That's why it's
That was what was in my car.
and Max is still learning to read and write.
Yeah. I had some more positives though. If you want to hear about them.
Yeah.
Please.
I think
No,
that
we don't. We're good.
You guys are done?
Oh, we're done.
Goodbye. Hey, we're speculating. I said that the tension of like usually in the game like every game I've played of this has been within 4 or 5. Like at the end, like several times we've played it, I have lost by 1 point. I think even one time it was a tiebreaker, maybe. It was 1 point or a tiebreaker, which are the branch tokens. But the tension of like. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts or whatever. Like it's like, oh, Ryan got 2 points, I got 1. Ryan got 4 points, I got 3. Keegan got 5 points, I got 2. Like it's just this like slow creep, and there's just this tension the whole time. Like I need to make a big play, and then I really like that.
Yeah.
Also, cutting each other off is always fun to at the very end of the game, Ryan thought he was going to lose because I was like, take that token away from him, Keegan! And he did, and Ryan lost like 4 points.
I was so pissed with that. You just like, let me just quickly take this token, and I had been working on getting to it, and it was like, on my next turn, I was going to get it.
Yep.
And then Max, I'm just like, I just said to him like, fuck you, Max, fuck you, goddamn, I hate you. Stop talking, stop telling Keegan what to do. Stop giving him advice.
Keegan, do what I say. I'm your puppet.
I did have 1 or 2 negatives.
Ooh, okay.
Fiddly. I don't mind it. I've heard this game described as fiddly. That might be a negative to some people. I don't feel like it's any more fiddly than like Panda. Like, I mean, you got to flip over a card, figure out where it is on the map, and put this down. That's not that difficult, but some people don't like that. So that is something in this game. We have fun with it. We all try and pronounce the names of things. Nollendorf Platz.
Nollendorf Platz. That was pretty close, actually, Max.
Nuklon.
Neukölln.
Carl Shorts.
Karlshorst.
Kotzberser Tor.
Clubbuster tour.
Messi Nordic.
That one's correct. I don't know what Nick means. ICC stands for something.
Strasburger Platz.
Strasburger Platz. Yeah, it was good too.
The one you don't know.
Samaristerer.
Samara Tesserstrasse? I don't know.
Zellendorf.
Zehlendorf.
Dusseldorf.
Dingeldorf.
Johannesstaller Chaucer.
Johannes Steller. Chaussee.
Ich bin eine Frau.
Ich bin eine Berliner.
There's that. Also, it, I guess, could be if... This isn't like a super Euro game, so it's not like you have to have a lot of AP, but I think there could be some AP with a certain type of
I was
player.
AP
yeah,
hard
there
when
was-
we played.
There's
But-
definitely some times that we have to be like, all right, you got like 15 more seconds because
But-
you're spending so long.
But for the most part, everybody's looking at their thing, so even if the current player's turn is taking a long time, like, you are a lot of the time involved in what you're going to do on your turn. So though it might
But-
be AP for some people, it could be a problem.
But the problem is though, you can't really. While someone's taking your turn, you can't really fully plan out what you're going
Right,
to do
'cause you
because
don't know.
obviously, random cards are
Yeah.
going to come out and then you go, oh, well, let me switch up and rethink here because if I was going to do what I thought I was going to do, I'm giving someone else points. And yeah.
And then I had two other things. The rule book is beautiful, but it's a little confusing because there's two different
Right.
maps and they have two different rule sets. They're very similar. It's simple, but it's sparse throughout the rule book. So when trying to learn the different sides, like it was a little tricky, but I mean, like, you can figure it out. But it just was. But I do have to give the rule book bonus points because at the very end of the rule book, it says the publisher and Anina would like to thank Christos C. and Iggy Pop for Berlin and for everything else. So
That's cool. Max.
Points for Max. Okay.
but then the very last thing, which I don't think any of us care about, but I guess there's a theme of trying to build the best railway, but I could not find anywhere in the rule book where it said like, one
right.
round is a year and you're building this railroad over years, or like these are all different passengers, or this is a different day. It's literally, this passenger is insane and somehow railroads are being built in front of them
like a
and they're
nightmare.
taking and also it makes absolutely, like, they will
Yeah, for the theme, it doesn't make
yeah,
sense.
they will walk the least. It is the laziest bastard in the world, and they will not walk one block to this railroad, even though that railroad might go directly. If there's a railroad that goes right to their spot, they will take that around the entire city if it will be a direct line.
That's right. Instead of walking
Yeah.
the
Which
one
makes
distance.
no. Although I did think about, like, sometimes when I come up here, Ryan lives on the 3rd floor, and there's a stairwell right behind the elevator. And I'll wait 10 minutes for the elevator.
You're the passenger.
So maybe the theme is on point. So ignore what I just said. It's a positive.
But no, that is funny because you could end up like it could literally go just one space. It just needs to walk. But if there's the one track that goes direct, that it's like
That
this
goes all the way
weird-
around.
Yeah, all the way around. It's gonna take that line.
So just imagine it's me in your game. Just you're trying to get me from.
These passengers really love taking trains.
You're trying to get me from Messy Suds to Kotzberg Tor or Tettelstout.
Or pancake. Whoever pancake is.
Pancakes up here.
Pancakes up there.
Pan cow.
Pan cow. So yeah. I mean that's pretty much everything we got for mechanics. I don't know
Yep.
if you guys have any final thoughts.
I want it.
That's fair. Yeah.
While we were playing it last night, I started looking on BGG to see if anyone near us was trading it or selling it off.
I think Max, you pretty much were like that too when you first
Yeah.
played it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I got lucky randomly and saw it on the market, and I was like, I want it. I was like messaging the person right away, and I did get it. So it's a really good entry game, I think. That
Yeah, and you showed it to me on Amazon. And I just got really lucky because I had been looking for a long time for it, especially the deluxe.
Did you play it online?
Yeah, Lauren and I played it online. Yeah, and really liked it. I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Unless you guys have any last things to talk about?
You should get the game. You should play it. You should play the game. The game's good.
Play the game.
A good game.
Do play the game.
It's
It is really good. I think we have only played it 3 players.
3 and 2.
You played 2? I played it 2, and 2 does work really well. You definitely get a bit more of a chance to kind of figure out multiple different paths and ways to like connect the board, like the whole board, to all of your paths. You get a little less chance to do that because you have less lines at higher player count, but I've liked 2 and 3 so far. I'll have to try 4. I'm curious to see how that craziness goes on the map. But yeah, definitely get it. And thank you for joining us. We really like doing this, and I think I believe our next video is going to be
A surprise?
releasing this surprise.
Is it going to be a surprise?
No, I think we already know what we're gonna do. It's gonna be this the fantastic Gugong. I know Keegan and I kickstarted the new expansion, and the review will include the expansion, Panjun. So have a look out for that. And thanks everyone for listening. Where can people find you, Max?
At Chimmins. This is a redaction. It's CHIMMONS.
I did mess up. That was my fault. Keegan, where can people follow you?
At Foxbox Games on Instagram. It'll be in the description. I just don't want to spell.
And you can follow me at ryan.gebi, Gebi. Until next time, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
I don't want to play this game ever again. I lost by 4 points.
Careful.
Oh, okay. This is my deluxe version. What the hell?
Take your mic. Pee-wee German.